Hey Fluff Moisteners, Riv here. Thank you to everyone who helped make the Megaplex video our most popular video ever. That's right, in 3.5 years of making these videos, this is the first time we've had one that really just exploded and got thousands and thousands of views in just a couple short weeks. Thank you to all our new subscribers, all our old subscribers, and especially to our super generous patrons. So when you have a video that does super well, the only problem is, how do you follow it up? Well, we decided to tackle a topic that hasn't been talked about a whole lot on furry YouTube. People like fursuit content, so what if we talked about how long fursuits actually last? There's not a whole lot of good information out there about this topic. The general consensus is, well, about 5 years. We're going to look at that and see if that's really accurate. And we're not just going to generalize. We're actually going to take an up-close look at 3 different fursuits of 3 different ages, ranging from 1.5 years old all the way to 8 years old. These suits have had varying amounts of wear, with this one here probably being worn the most, but by far not being the oldest. And we're going to see what's starting to wear out on them, what work might be done to keep them in good condition, and how long we think they're actually going to last. And after all that, we'll talk about some things that affect how long a fursuit does actually last. Alright, let's go check out some fursuits. If you would like to become a super generous, awesome patron, check the link in the description. We also have signature merch on Teespring if you're interested in that. Let's go! Alright, having magically transformed into my human form and my Lurk's voice, I present to you A Tale of Two Cities. Wait, I mean, A Tale of Three Suities. Entering the Fursuit Lounge, we see artwork. We see various pieces of fursuits. Alright, let's start out with the newest and least worn fursuit. Let's talk about how old it is, let's talk about how it's been used, and let's talk about how it's holding up. That would be Lurk's 2.0. The head, as we see here, is from early 2019. So let's have a look at a head that is now, well, 2.5 years old. It's been worn quite a bit. It's a foam-based head. Now, although this suit has only been used at 3 conventions, 2 of those involved a lot of walking, so it's definitely had some use. It's probably had more use overall, just coming on and off to do short YouTube videos. This suit gets used almost weekly for YouTube. Alright, some of the places where you're going to see wear first on a fursuit head. Going to be down here, where it meets the body, on the bottom of the neck. This fur can get mottled and kind of stringy and worn looking. As you see there, it's not that way yet. It's holding up just great. If it looks a little stringy and stuck together, that can be brushed out. That's not actual damage. Now, the other place where you're going to see wear on a suit like this is right here on the hair. There's very, very little of this. This tends to happen from being put in flight cases and being smushed. Very little of this. Overall, this suit is holding up really well. Now, if we look inside, you can see the interior liner is basically like new. I can't see what the condition of the foam base is underneath all the fur and the liner, but it feels like it's in really good shape still. The teeth did have to be re-glued back in. Just one of those little things that happens, but overall really good. Right here is where there's a little bit of wear on the fur. This cheek fur tends to poof out and look kind of unsightly, and I have to push it back and brush it a lot to keep it that looking nice. So overall, 2.5-year-old head that has had some use, foam-based head, which tend to be the ones that wear out the soonest, in pretty good shape still. Moving on to the body. The body is a little bit newer than the head. This body is about 1.5 years old. I commissioned the head to go along with my old body. Then I decided to commission a matching digit-grade body from Kaiju Costumes, which is this. If you look at it, it is in really nice shape. It has been to both MFF and to Megaplex 2021, both of which involved a lot of walking. Megaplex because the convention center was not attached to the hotel. MFF because I'm not a magical wizard who can manage to get a room at the main hotel. So I had to do a lot of walking. Suits held up really well. Let's take a look at the feet down here. Now, granted, these feet haven't been used a whole heck of a lot. The reason for that being that I don't wear the feet and the tail and the digitigrade padding when I do YouTube videos. There's really no point because you can't see them, and it just makes the suit harder to take on and off. You can see there is damage to one claw. That one rubs on the ground. Actually, the one next to it looks like it has a little bit too. That's something that could be pretty easily repaired if I wanted to have it fixed. Where do we see a little bit of damage on the suit after it being used pretty heavily for a year and a half, almost weekly on YouTube for Twitter videos? Right here, we see a little bit of fur damage. Now, what would cause that? Well, that's the shoulder that my guitar strap sits on. What's going to damage a fursuit is having stuff rub against it constantly and rub against the fur and abrade it. So that's kind of unavoidable unless I figure out something else with my guitar strap. Little bit of damage here from the zipper going up and down, getting caught in the zipper, getting pulled on while I'm putting the suit on and off, but not bad. If you look inside, you can see almost no pilling on the interior of the fur. That's an indication of a really new suit. Let's turn it around and see what we got. Okay, that looks slightly obscene, I admit. Now, here's where we do have some wear. As I just mentioned, where you're going to get wear on your suit is from where things rub together. This is where the tail rubs against the body. So you can see how this fur is damaged. This is damaged fur. It's stringy and kind of crumpled looking, and it doesn't look like this nice smooth texture anymore. That's damaged fur. That will not come back even after brushing. But that's really all the damage we have on a suit that's definitely had some use in a year and a half. So if you hear one of these people being like, no, suits only last 5 years, they're going to fall apart after 5 years, you might as well just throw them away and get a new one, it's not going to last more than 5 years. We're going to see that that may not be entirely accurate. Let's move on now to our second oldest suit. This, as you know, is Riv. Riv is manufactured by one of the absolute best fursuit makers in the entire world, Sparky Can Do. Riv is now 3 years old. I debuted him at Denver 2018. He has been worn a lot. One of the reasons I got a Sparky suit is because they're known for being very durable. They're known for being suits that can take a lot of abuse and be worn a lot, and this suit has been used probably more than the average 5 or 6 year old fursuit. I have worn it a lot at a lot of cons. It's gone all the way to Australia with me, to Furdo. Let's see how it's holding up after 3 years of pretty heavy use. Overall, the head is in phenomenal condition. I did have to send it back to Sparky to have the right ear reset because it actually sunk a few months after the suit arrived. When it was brand new, this ear actually sunk downward, and I had to have Sparky raise it back up again. She did a beautiful job. You can't tell it was ever worked on. The only damage we really see on the head right here is what I was talking about with the hair, getting squashed from being in flight cases, just getting some general abrasion on it. You can see right here on the top of the mohawk, this is damage right here. This hair will not be fixable even with brushing. You can't really see it, but this will eventually get worse and this will be an issue. This will probably be the first thing that has to be fixed when we do a refurbishment on this head. A little bit more of that here, slight damage, not really a big concern, especially for a head that's seen heavy use for 3.5 years. Most people might use their fursuit, 2-3 times a year at a con. I put these things on almost every week. Looking inside, a little bit more of that damaged, kind of crumpled, mottled fur here. Not a big deal. Once the zipper's together, you see better fur and you can't really see it. All right, you can see where the magnet is just starting to peek through this kind of, I don't know what it is, almost spandex type fabric, a little bit of wear there. Otherwise, inside the head, everything's good. This elastic is still good. The padding is still good. The fan has been replaced. It got noisy and wore out and had to be replaced. Like I said, I've spent many, many hours in this suit. So overall, Riv is doing really well. He's probably got the equivalent of 5 or 6, 7 years of a normal suitor in terms of wear. Holding up no problem. Let's move on to Riv's body now. Now, this body is the same exact age as the head, so it's seen a fair amount of use. We can see overall, it looks very good. The fur is in great shape. It's not all crunched up and starting to get that stringy look where you brush it and it doesn't really make any difference. It is really solid. Where we do have wear, same place from the guitar strap here. We have some right here where the head has rubbed against it. When the head is on, the fabric rubs against this, rubs against here. This is something unavoidable on any fursuit you're gonna have. You can see there's some wear here on the fabric. It's definitely showing more age than Lurk's. Inside, we still don't have a whole lot of pilling. You can see a little bit on that inside of the fur fabric there where it's pilling up. That's just an indication of age, having your clothing rub against it. Have a look at the armpit here. This is where one of the first places where you're gonna see wear on a fursuit, because that fur is just rubbing against itself all the time and it's just gonna get a little bit worn out. So the armpits are worn, not too badly though, still holding up pretty well. Difference between this and Lurk's, this fur has been shaved down. It did not come that length, it's actually been trimmed. Lurk's fur is the original length that it was manufactured. Looking down here, a little bit of wear from the tail, not actually as much as Lurk's has, but a little bit right here and here. Now I thought this was damage from sitting on chairs at convention panels, like those chairs with a coarse fabric on them. It turns out I was just looking at it incorrectly. This fur, like I said, has been trimmed down, and it was trimmed to fit the shape of having your butt actually inside the suit. So when you're in the suit, when the butt padding, digitigrade padding is in, this actually looks normal and can be brushed and it's not damaged. So overall, there you go. This is a heavily used 3-year-old Sparky Can Do suit that is still in pretty darn good condition. Check out the feet real quick. Those are the original feet. Those were indoor feet. I did wear those out. Those were repaired with rubber soles on them. And I actually bought recently these beautiful new feet that have swappable indoor and outdoor soles on them. Those are brand new virgin feet that have never been used yet. This is another place like the armpits. Actually, this is the worst place where you're gonna see wear, other than maybe the foot paws. You are gonna wear out the hand paws on your fursuit faster than almost anything else. You can see this looks kind of like a teddy bear that a kid's been dragging around for a long time. That fur is damaged. It's not gonna get better. If you brush it, it may appear a little bit better, but it is damaged, and eventually I'm gonna have to get new hand paws. This one here was in the same condition. I brushed it. You can see it looks a lot better. If I wore this for 5 minutes, it would look the same as that again though. There is some damage from picking up stuff. That just is gonna happen. All right, let's move on to the third suit. Let's take a look at the general condition of this suit. This is Curie. This is another Sparky Can Do suit. This is an older Sparky Can Do suit. This is from 2013. That's right, this suit is 8 years old for everyone who thought that a suit only lasts 5 years. What does an 8-year-old suit look like? Well, because it's been taken care of and it hasn't been used a whole lot, it looks surprisingly good. This suit was bought from the original owner, who only took it to 2 cons and maybe wore it for some pictures, and that's about it. This is a resin-based head. There also is quite a bit of foam in there. We look in here, it is in excellent condition. This elastic is still great. All the glue is intact and in good shape. Okay, let's take a look at the body. Let's take a look at the fur. Nice and soft. Doesn't have that weird stringy, worn out look to it. This could be brushed and would look absolutely perfect. Let's look even in the armpits there. That could be brushed and it would come right back out. That is not damage. The only place on the body, as we come around here, where we see some damage, where I thought we saw some damage, is right here. This is basically the neck right here. That's the zipper. This is the chest. Now I was looking at this and I was like, well, why the heck is that fur all damaged here? And why can I see through it? It looks like the fur is really thin and it's been damaged. Has it been damaged from the zipper? What's going on with that? Turns out, upon closer inspection, this is a completely different piece of fur. It's not the same fur. Very similar color, but it's a thinner, cheaper fur, and it's just got a coarse texture to it. I don't know what happened there, if she ran out of the main fur or what happened, why that's there, This suit actually needs some work in the future. I need to get the chest expanded so it fits me better. The guy that originally commissioned this suit was a string bean. He was so thin, I'm afraid I'm gonna bust the zipper. So that will be addressed when I get the alterations made to make it fit my chest a little bit better. All right, taking a look now at the hand paws. Again, these are 8 years old. They definitely have been used some, although the suit hasn't seen a great deal of use for an 8-year-old suit. You can see a little bit of wear here. Fur in general is still in good condition. Good brushing, these would come right back and look pretty much perfect. Little bit of wear on the fur right here. This is another place where you're gonna see some wear on your fursuit because the sleeves are pushing and pulling over it when they're coming on and off, and they're just rubbing against it. That's what wears out fursuits, is fur rubbing against things. Mainly fur rubbing against other fur. Another thing that can wear out a fursuit is using this lovely implement incorrectly. Now, with these little dog and cat brushes, there's kind of a harsher direction and there's a softer direction. You always want to use the softer direction when you're brushing your fur. If you dig into it like you would trying to get the undercoat out of a dog who's shedding, it is going to damage this artificial fur. This one has a head that can be actually spun around, so backwards is forwards and forwards is backwards, and if that makes any sense at all. Checking out the feet here. These are outdoor feet. It looks like the indoor feet, there's 2 different sets of feet with this suit, have been used a lot more. You can see a little bit of damage on the foam there from walking over rocks and stuff, but overall these feet are really good. There's a little dingleberry here. I don't know what that is. It's something stuck in there. Looks like they stepped on something. But yeah, there's a little bit there too that needs to be trimmed out. But overall, even the fur right here that's been touching the ground is in really good shape. Now, where else would this fursuit wear out? Yes, it is an otter, therefore it is a tail dragger. That is where we would expect to see some wear. If the person who sold it to me maybe wasn't being real honest and had worn it a whole lot more, underneath here would be where we would see a lot of wear. Let's have a look. Well, there's certainly some, which is to be expected because this suit has a tail that drags on the floor. This thing has probably dragged several miles on the floor. It's in pretty good shape. I mean, I wouldn't even want to have that repaired at this point. I will, before I start taking this suit to cons, get some type of cover for the tail so it's not directly making contact with the floor. I really don't like that, and I don't want to wear my suit out. All right, there we go, an in-depth look at 3 different fursuits. As you can see, they're probably all going to last well over 5 years. One of them, in fact, already has lasted well over 5 years. They might need some work, but 5 years is definitely not the cutoff for a fursuit. You're not going to have to throw it away. They all will eventually need some work, but I think we can get 10 years out of all these suits and probably more out of Curie because she's been used so lightly. So there are basically 3 different factors in how long a fursuit lasts. Factor number 1, the overall construction quality of the suit and the quality of the materials. Factor 2, how much the suit is actually used. That's a big one. Factor 3, how well is the suit taken care of? If you're really rough with your suit, if you beat it up, if you walk through dirty fields outside and parking lots and stuff and you just don't care, well, it's not gonna last as long. Basically what it comes down to is if you have a quality suit, if you take care of it, and you address some little fixes that come up along the way, you can get many, many years out of a fursuit. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.